Oh my goodness, a full room. Okay, so are you ready to start making some skulls? Some little skulls? Hello, everybody. Hi, Cherry. Hi, Zenta. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Joaquin. Hi, Chris. Did I miss anybody? I hope not. Okay, so let's first do a little bit of a walkthrough. That would be the best thing. And I am going to use, I'm trying to see which color should I use that is the best scene. Let me check. This is not very good. Let's see. Because, you know, it's useless for me to try ahead of time. Because when I get on YouTube, it looks differently. No. Let me try a souffle light brown. This should work just fine. Because if you want to have there are some principles when you construct a skull to make it look very realistic. Most of the skulls that I have seen, the problem is that they are made too round, and that is valid both for the beads and for the canes. And yes, I will make sometime later in beginning of October, I will make a regular skull cane. But you start practically with a ball. And again, I'm making this much bigger than the way they will finally look. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me well? Everybody can hear me? Because there were some issues with my another live I had earlier. Oh yeah, you should have done so. Okay, so we start with a ball. Okay, and what you need to do to that ball, I'm going to put this folding line underneath so it wouldn't bother. First of all, you're going to gently flatten it a little bit. So it would look pretty much like that. And then you go kind of like 1/3 and you squeeze. And I have a folding line here. So you will have something like this, right? Then you grab your X-Acto knife, and this will be the front of your skull. And what you need to do is to simply cut some excess from here, like so. And actually even more of this, because you don't have a super genius skull. And then gently round the back of the skull. And then you want to, so I have this right now. And then you want to flatten it a little bit by pressing down. And then also flatten a little bit this area. And again, round this area up. The back of the skull needs to be rounded. so that when it will sit down, let me make sure, when you sit it, let me switch the camera angle. So when you sit it, it will sit like this. This is pretty much how it should look. So you have to have these two inside, and it should be gently flatter here and gently rounded here. After which, you need to poke 2 holes for the eyes. But before poking the holes for the eyes, you want to gently take your teeth line. So this would be the middle of the teeth. So you go pretty much halfway between these. And you don't have to be super, super precise, because these will be small beads. And you'll see when I make them in a small, I made it larger so you can see the principle behind it. But you need to do the middle line of the teeth and then just cut the middle, because you need the top, so you know where to put the nose. So if your teeth end here, you will need something that is kind of triangularish. So you count the nose, half of the distance of the tooth length here would be the base of your nose. The length of your tooth would be the top of your nose. Okay? Why did I take this? I don't know. So it will have to be pretty much triangular. So you go in, and you make it fairly triangular. Of course, you can make 2 holes if you want, but if you make the bead very small, then it's not really important. And then the eyes have to be, you take the top of the nose for the middle of the eye. And then you poke your eye holes. And once you've done this, then you can finish with your teeth. And try to do 4 for the front. As I said, really stylized. You don't have to go too much into too exquisite details. I will make later a tutorial on how to do a, not really real life size, but a skull decoration. And then you do the, and don't get the teeth all the way down because you need some bone here. And then you finish doing your, and it would look pretty much something like this, which on a smaller bead, it will look just fine. So let's start making some real ones. And I'm going to mix a pinch of, I would suggest that you mix some pearl, not just white, with some translucent, because you want them to look a little bit neater. And if you want to make them glow in the dark, Hello, Teresa. Then you have to go on a bead already made of glow-in-the-dark clay. And I'll show you here in a minute how to do that. And just simply mix your white pearl and your translucent, because they will look more nifty if you do this instead of just plain white. Plain white will also make them way too white. And generally skulls are not super white. They are supposed to be old, decomposing bone, right? So let's get us this cut in two. Why am I using this blade? I have no idea. And make two balls equal. So these would be like they were made out of bone, right? And we do the exact same thing. This one is a tad bigger. And of course, you can make, I know that the ones when I was vending at the fair, the ones that had like 2 or 3 little skulls with chains from a single ring were selling way better than the ones with just one skull. So again, we make a little ball and gently press at about 1/3. Flatten the front a bit. Then cut off the excess. And gently round up the back of the skull. And one thing, make sure that you don't make them too long. So remember that at one point you need to flatten it up a little so you can bring this back of the skull to be not super long. And let me remove my eyeglasses. And the same as for the big one. First, do your middle tooth line and the upper tooth. Then calculate half the distance for the bottom and then the length of the tooth for the top. Oops, make a small one. And then, as I said, the eyes come and they need to be a little bit bigger. Because see, the moment you start modeling, the clay will move. Okay, this is too big. This is too small. I need something that's in between. Just a second, let me find something that's in between this. And then I finish doing the teeth. One, two, three, four. And you can do one extra on the sides. And there we go, we have the first one. Try and make sure that you see exactly, because I see it very, very bright on the and on these ones, don't poke the hole until they are baked, because whenever you use translucent and softer, firmer clay, it's going to do this. Let me see, what can I do to make it look less bright? See if I do this. So again, I'm taking the middle of my tooth line, middle line of the teeth, then calculate half for the bottom of the nose, the length for the top of the nose, make a cut like this, and then gently pull these to the sides. And then finish the teeth. Now, you cannot see a lot right now. So what I'm going to do, you can take artisan powders, or you can use chalk pastels. I'm going to just grab a chalk pastel. Let me see. And I will make soon a little review on chalk pastels because it's kind of overdue. So let's grab a, it's up to you if you want more brownish or like this. I'm gonna get the more brownish one. Let me grab them on the, I need the soft brush. Yeah, of course, you can use acrylic, but it's going to be, I would suggest you do that after you bake it if you want to use acrylic paint on it. With the chalk pastel, I'll show you how easy it gets cleaned up and it stays only in the And where you want to insist is in the tooth area and the eyes and the nose, obviously, on both of them. After which, I'll put the chalk pastel back. And they will look like, I don't know, miniature alien skulls, if you want. Just taking a piece of paper towel with a pinch of alcohol on it and gently swipe. Very gently, because you don't want to remove all of it. You just want to remove the surplus. Because you can do that with the sanding, but it's so tiny that it's going to be a pain to sand. And this way it looks like a little bone skull. And let's do the same thing for this one. Let's see how you're left with only the lines of the teeth and all that. And of course you can add some black. Let's actually try and add it some black so it would look more realistic. But I'm going to add some black mixed with brown because I don't want black. Actually, a darker brown. I'll grab a darker brown. And one of my extra lights fell off. Stay there, my dear. And just a pinch of black. And what I want to do with this is insist on the eyes and nose. And the teeth, especially. I'm not going to touch the rest of the bead, just the eyes and teeth. And then once again, get a little bit of alcohol and gently make sure you don't press because you don't want to deform it. You just want to remove the extra chalk pastel. But they will look exactly like if they were carved out of bone. And this one needs to be cleaned a little bit more. Paper towel. Okay, now let me get these two in the oven. And while they are baking, so I can finish the earrings at the end of this. While they are baking, we'll do the skull pendant. Let me first catch up with the chat. Okay. Hi, Fran. Okay, I'll be right back. Now comes the more interesting part. And for the next part, I'm going to first clean my table. And we are going to get some translucent. Okay. I'm going to mix a little bit of translucent with just a touch of burnt umber and a touch of pearl. Hello, Tanya. How are you doing? How's the spider side doing? You actually want this to be a little bit lined, just a tad. Yeah, they will look awesome, trust me. They will look like made out of bone. And you don't need this to be perfectly, absolutely perfectly mixed. But first I'm going to take a base of granite. And I'm going to give it a little bit of texture. This is the Donna Kato sponge, and you know it does a great thing. You got devils? How the heck did you get devils? And I'm using a simple round oval, cutter. This is the Premo cutter. And I'm going to do all the sculpting on a piece of wax paper. Because that way I can just place it in the oven directly. I don't have to remove it. So see, I'm placing it with the texture going down. Now the next thing, so just to measure, I'm going to need, this is on the thickest setting, so I'm going to need probably two oval and a half. I mean twice the size of this and a half, plus about half the size of the oval again in pearl, and the same thing in that mix I made with burnt umber and pearl and translucent. Now I'm going to start first mixing. I'm putting this aside for the moment. I am going to start first mixing the translucent and white pearl. Yeah, you need to show me pictures because I want to see what kind of devils did you get. So you saw I sandwiched the I sandwiched the white pearl between two sheets of translucent, folding, rolling, folding, rolling. I played with some gold leaf earlier, so I might have a little bit of gold leaf going in there. And again, folding, rolling. So I did this four times. Now I'm going to place the brown and burnt umber and white and translucent sandwiched again between these, and folding. Hi, Judy. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now I'm going to stack it. Doesn't have to be perfectly stacked. The thing is that for whatever I need, I am going to grab slices like this. Not from this point, but where I would have the lines of the stacking. And this is why I need to kind of consolidate my stack. Check if your lines are not too thick still. If you can still see too many lines, then go ahead and do some more folding. Now, the first thing I need to do is the skull itself. So for this, I'm going to need pretty much 1/3 of the stack. And I will be using the cutter itself to help me shape this. I'm not shape it upside down because you might not understand what I'm doing there. But you want the top of the skull to pretty much match the shape of the pendant. So if need be, you can go in and do a little bit of pushing in. Then the second thing we need is the jaw. And you see I cut a slice out of it. And I'm going to cut it in two. And then I'm going to make two small. We are making a skull pendant. Two small sausage-like thingies. Then I'm going to reserve another slice for the top of the skull. And you'll see why I'm doing that, because it needs to be a little bit more arched. And then this will be for the teeth. And we want it to be, the teeth has to be about, oh God, 2/3 of the width of the total skull. So I'll go about like this. And here we are going to place the extra clay that we really want to. Where's my thing? To kind of mash in the, smooth out into the bottom. You need this one to be really well blended. You'll just have a different variation of the way the color is going. Those little veins that we just made by stacking. That's going to give the whole skull a different look. Now, you want this to be more inside. Okay, let me try and get this as much as I can. Okay, that's good. So do not worry about these, because remember, a skull has all kinds of lines in it. So this is fine. The same goes for these lines as well. But you want this area to be kind of in like this. And then your jaw lines. Actually, I took two. I only needed one. Okay, I need to turn on the AC. It's always gets warmer in this room because of the stormtrooper that's got like 5 or 6 fans. I forgot how many. So it can make the room really warm. I want these a little bit more. Here, you don't want, even if you get the line from the mica shift, you don't really want a line for the chalk pastel to go in. Okay, and again, the same as we did for And the other one, I have no idea what's in here. First, let's get the line for the teeth. And we are going to come about this much up. So half would be about here, and the end of the nose would be about here. So this time I'm going to actually cut kind of in a pyramidal shape. I'm trying to cut without getting my fingers in the way. And we want to go a little bit even deeper than this. Okay, I have to do this, sorry. Kind of difficult for me to cut it otherwise. Okay. So kind of like this, and then I'm going to use my sculpting tool to refine the shape. I really, it would be nice if they would make these sculpting tools a little bit less long, because I'm risking to hit the camera with it. And again, the top of the nose has to be pretty much the middle of the eye. So my eyes should be somewhere here. Okay, that one works better. So go a little bit towards the inside poking. And now we can do the teeth properly. I'm going first to use the sharper one. Then I'm going to use the thicker one. And the teeth are a little bit more complicated than everything else, because here that's where you want to have the proper realistic type look. You can use all kinds of things. I personally prefer to use the um, linoleum copper, and of course I have too many stupid things here. from working with so many things at the same time. Okay. But you can use anything that's got a rounded, so we don't want a squarish. We want a rounded pretty much. And if it were, I'm gonna use the squarish because it's tighter. I'm gonna use the smallest one. So you want to make these at the end of the teeth. And now continue refining this. And here again, what you need to do is to, oh, stupid freaking light. You need to kind of separate the teeth a little bit, not just from each other, but from the top and the bottom need to be a little bit separated. And then we need to do a little bit of a line here. Sorry, I'm a little bit slower because I have to keep my hands out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And the same here. Bring this inside a little bit so that you'll have the mandible line showing up. As I said, you need to really smooth out the lines from the sausages for the mandible and the joint. Here, up here, not so much because there is a natural joint there, but here at the bottom, you need to do that. And then we just bring this upwards a little bit more. Because remember, we need this area to be even higher. But you want the teeth to be very nicely defined. And now we can move it and switch it to the base that we got here. Let me catch up on the chat. Okay. Yeah, we can name him Scully. That's funny. Okay. I guess I went a little bit overboard and I made it a little bit too big. And the oven bin. So at this point, I can put it up, making sure that you can see what I'm doing. Here we want it to be nice and almost. It doesn't have to be perfectly because we'll do a kind of a bezel-y thing on it after we bake it for the first time. But you want it to be rounded towards the back. So you can actually make this chin a little bit more forward. And now let's patina it. There we go. Looks mean, doesn't it? It looks so mean. So again, let's grab some of that lighter brown and get some in here. Let me catch up with the chat. Okay, then start liberally applying a lighter brown. And actually, I'm going to use a little bit of sponge on it, just gently, very gently. And then we get some of the darker brown and of the black. And mix it a little bit. And with this one, we start really pushing it in the teeth, the eyes, and the nose. Because we want those to be really colored, darkened out, that is. Here, I think I need a little bit. Just this much. And I think I need a pinch more black here. I'm going to scrape it directly on the teeth, eyes, and nose. And there's a little golden foil. Alrighty. Now it's time to clean it up. I'm gonna blow this away. And the same as for the small ones, I'll do the same thing. get a paper towel and then gently start rubbing it. Again, you don't need to remove everything. You just want the most prominent areas to be cleaned out. Looks really Halloweenish, doesn't it? Hi, Tina. And I think it's good enough to go in the oven. Let me try and show it in close-up. And there we go. Needs a little bit. Went a little bit too far here. There we go. A really skeleton-y skull pendant. Okay, I'm gonna go real quick, grab the little beads and get this one to get baked. Now for the next Play With Me next Sunday, we will be finishing that skull pendant in a gothic-y way. Okay, we are going to make it a nice faux silver bezel and some gothic-y, Celtic-y signs on the top of the skull, and we'll make it look awesome. So here we have the little beads. Well, it's Halloween, so that's the whole idea. It has to be spooky. Okay. So as you can see, most of the chalk pastel has baked in, so we don't have to worry about it. And as I said, I'll make soon a special chalk pastel review to tell you which would be the best chalk pastels to use, generally speaking, and how to choose a chalk pastel. Okay, then all we need to do is to drill in some holes, put some ice screws, and then attach them. You can make them dangling, you know, if you want. But you can make them attached directly to the ear wire. Let me go grab the... Yeah, I made quite a few things last year. And I made several canes, scarf ring, an ornament, and a reindeer. Did I make, was it anything else? And I don't remember. Okay, so I'm going to have to end this really soon. I didn't get around to put my chair together yet. So hopefully this week I'll have it set so I won't have to interrupt my lives after just an hour. Because that was the whole idea. Zero? What zero? Okay, so much. Okay. No, I didn't make. Oh yeah, I did make. Yeah, it was in clay with me. I made zero. But not for Christmas, I made it for Halloween. I made the ghosts, I made the bat earrings, zero, the spiderweb cane, the Jack Skellington cane. I think that was it for Halloween. But yeah, you're right. I made zero, the ghost dog. Okay. So, let's see, I might have to use another bit that's a little bit bigger. We'll see here in a minute. So these, theoretically, the best thing with this is to put some glue before putting them in. Do not let them be just like this because they'll come off. Even if you put them in before you bake, they'll still come off. So don't rely just on the clay holding the screws. What nightmares! Yeah, those are from the Nightmare Before Christmas, wasn't it? But yeah, just so you know, the canes with the spider web and with Jake Skellington went to Kathy Weber, who makes bracelets of hope. for the children who are in the hospital undergoing cancer treatment. Oh, that's how Halloween is supposed to be, isn't it? They're not supposed to be kawaii. We can make some kawaii skulls if you want for little girls. After we do that pendant, we can make some kawaii skulls. Okay, there we go. And these, as I said, you can either put them on a chain and then connect to a ear wire, or you can put them directly on the ear wire, but they look like little bone sculpted little skulls. And you saw they are not very difficult to make, and the big one is not very difficult to make. Now for the whatchamacallit, the big pendant for the gothic things. Just a minute. Grab what I want to show you. A minute, please, because I'm looking for something. I've got some stuff that's very stuck in. Egg. Okay, I found it. So one of the best things for the skull pendant would be this. If you have, and it comes up like this, and then it comes up in a different, it's a Lisa Pavelka texture plate, and that I will be using for the skull pendant. And then there's another one that I cannot find right now, but after the live is over, I will put the link in the video description. There's another little texture plate that's got all kinds of gothic-y stuff. So I guess we'll see next Sunday. I'll show you how these look like, because I'll have to put these in with glue. I cannot, it's useless to put them right now. And the glue needs at least an hour to harden. But I'll show you how these look like when they are completely finished, and I'll probably put them on chain, and then we'll work on the gothic skull. Thank you for being here with me. Don't forget to always tell me in the comments if you want to see certain things, or contact me on the Facebook page if you have any questions. And I'll see you next Sunday when we will make that gothic skull pendant. That will be very scary. Have a wonderful Sunday. Happy claying.